let's get right into it. Bengals against the Raiders. This is a fun one. This is the Shaky Bowl. Kicks it off Saturday afternoon on the West Coast. Cincy -4.5. 49 is the over-under. Went down from 6. Oh, boy. Went down from 6 to 4.5. I love this matchup. This is your team, Brother Bry. I know since he already whipped them in Las Vegas, but that was a weird game. I think it was 13-6 after 3 quarters. Burrow had 148 yards passing. So, it's not going to probably be like that. I throw that game out. The Raiders somehow figured out how to play football since then. I love this Max Crosby. 11 pressures last week, 4-time double-digit pressures, over 100 on the year, which is not good for Cincinnati, who's 30th in the league, Bri. You know this. Against the sack, they allow 3.2, closer to 4 over the last 3 games. Burrow this season's taken 51 sacks. That's the most. 102 quarterback hits taken. That's 4th most. Raiders defense is 4th with 114 quarterback hits. I don't know. This new Raiders team, they don't screw up on special teams. They have the hottest kicker in the game. They can hang with you offensively. I'm taking them straight up, Bri, to win this game. Even though you take them with the spread too. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 as an underdog. 29-27. Great Shakey's game. Go Raiders. Bri, you're backing it too. You just have to.
I'm backing it too. Well, I'm taking I like the 4.5. I'm actually, but FanDuel still has, you get 6.5 at -130. So I'm going to,
bet them to win, Bri. Bet them to win.
I will. Well, do I need to? I mean, we've seen what happens when I do that. It's okay. I don't really want to jinx them. This is big enough for a Raiders fan. Don't forget the last time the Raiders were in the playoffs, we didn't even have Carr as our quarterback.
Right.
This is a different story. But yeah, like you said, when the Raiders played the Bengals the last time, they were in a bad place. They'd come off 2 bad losses to the Giants. They got killed to the Chiefs, and they were only at 2 weeks removed from that drama with Ruggs. So, like you had said, that game was really was a close game. It was actually 16-13 with 12 minutes left in that 4th quarter. And if it wasn't for a couple turnovers, there was an interception and a fumble on back-to-back plays by the Raiders. So, which kind of blew that open. So you can't look at that score. But this Raiders team is motivated, right? They're hitting their defense, like you were saying too, with the Bengals offensive line. The Raiders defensive line, though, has been very good. And it hasn't just been Crosby. It hasn't just been Crosby. We're actually getting, our D tackles are actually performing, which never happened in the past. And Crosby's been phenomenal. And to me, there is this tiny, I have a little bit of hope here because there's this tiny bit of feeling that the whole, Madden passing away has kind of led to a little bit of momentum and mojo for the Raiders.
Is stupid. It might as well be that.
Season's stupid, so will we see a little bit of Carlson magic maybe in this game? But yeah, I'm taking the adjusted 6.5, but I would take the 4.5 too.
There you go. All right, Parlay Kid, you're with me. You're with your brother. Raiders. Go Raiders.
Well, I'm gonna jump on that line that Brian just gave. That 6.5, I will take at -130. I was riding 5.5. I know it's come down even further, but I'll take that. I think that makes sense here. I think this is a close ball game. I think one thing we have to realize too, and I know the Raiders have a lot of things going for them, and it's good for them this year. They deserve it. But at the same time, the metrics probably say the Raiders aren't as good as their record is, right? They've given up 70 more points than they've scored.
Yeah.
That alone, that one metric would say they should be a below 500 team technically. But again, maybe just a few bad games, especially against the Chiefs, maybe skew that a little bit. So we can't really go by that fully for the Raiders. And like Brian said, the difference between it's kind of like the Cowboys this year, like our Cowboys sells. The Raiders are hitting people this year. They're playing much better defense than they ever have over the course of a season, at least in recent memory. Their defense has been great, and it's getting better every week. That being said, Cincinnati's offense has been superb as well down the stretch. Burrow is really feeling. I think Burrow's just a better quarterback in this matchup. I think they just have more weapons than the Raiders do. I think they win, but I think this is a close ball game all the way. I think the only way the Raiders can win here, the one factor is Waller he's got to have a big game for them to win.
I'm waiting for it.
Waller's the key. We're waiting for it. We're going to talk about him in a second too, but That's the key to the Raiders. If Waller has like 7 catches for 90 yards or greater, they have a chance to win this game.
Well, it's especially the key because the Bengals cornerbacks are ranked 1 and 2 in zone coverage. So, all right, so you need the tight end to step up, and they got one of the best in the game in Waller. All right, Harry, I know you got to be different. I don't even know that you believe in this, but you like the Bengals -4.5.
Yeah, congratulations, Brian. A nice season with the Raiders, but it does come to an end on Saturday. Throughout last week's game when the starters didn't play, the Cincinnati offense, guys, obviously just rolling. Burrow's been fantastic. Almost 1,000 yards in the last 2 games, 8 touchdowns. They put up 75 points in those games against Baltimore and Kansas City. You guys mentioned the game just before Thanksgiving. Still, Cincinnati won the game by almost 20. Raiders defense was on the field plenty on Sunday night against the Chargers. They're 26th in the league in points allowed. Raiders last in the league in picks. Bombs away for Burrow and the Bengals, baby. 35-23, Cincy.
Wow. And Harry's congratulating you, Bri, because you picked the team and you stuck with it all year. You didn't, he has 4 favorite teams and one of them's more shittier than the other. I don't know how he did it, but
who's he rooting for in the playoffs this year?
I guess the Bengals, right? He picked them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is that what he did?
Yeah. Bengals Packers for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think his Browns are going to make it. All right, a prop for this game. Talk about a ballsy bet, Harry. The offensive rookie of the year, or I guess we think he's going to be. It's between him and Mac Jones, but Jamar Chase is the favorite. He's listed at 74.5 yards receiving. I am going under. All right, you want to count that first game? 3 for 32 the first time they played. The Raiders, in 5 of the last 7, have allowed 60 or fewer yards to the top receiver. Quarterbacks, Brendan Fexon and Casey Hayward, they take turns shutting down Chase. We saw he had that little stretch. I know he had those 2 big games that Harry talks about, but he had that stretch where like 5 or 6 games under 55 yards. I think they shut him down. I think Burrow's going to have trouble there, and they know they'll solve the Jamar Chase mystery under 74.5. Parlay Kid, you have an over for Cincinnati.
I do, Sal. Tyler Boyd over 42.5 receiving yards here. He averages 52 yards a game for the season. And besides last week in this, where he got 36 yards, his previous 4 games, 85, 96, 55, and 85. He's been impressive. I think the focus will be on Chase. Boyd is really their 3rd receiver. Boy, I think this is going to be an easy one. I think Boyd's been really maybe emerging as their 2nd best receiver, maybe even ahead of T. Higgins. Either way, those 2 guys get most of the attention. If Boyd is your 3rd option, it's a wonderful 3rd option for Burrow. Burrow's going to be throwing the ball here a lot in this game. He throws for a lot of yards. Boyd over 42.5 when he averages 52 yards a game, and over the last 5, averaging probably 70 plus yards a game, Sal.
All right, Brian, what do you like here?
Yeah, I debated going Jacobs over just because he's been so good over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm actually going to go, I know I'm taking the Raiders here, but I'm going to go with CJ Uzomah over 26.5 yards receiving.
Yeah.
So he's had 32 or more. I know Parlay Kid liked this guy earlier in the year.
Yeah.
He's been hit or miss throughout the year. He's had some big games but he's had 32 or more yards receiving in 3 of his last 4 games. Has 4 catches per game over those last 4. But if anybody's watched the Raiders all year, and the Bengals are similar. Both teams are very good against the wide receivers, but they both struggle against good tight ends, especially the Raiders against athletic ones. You saw like even last week, Cook was the guy who beat them up a little bit. You know, they got beat up by Kelsey. Font beat them up earlier in the year. Goddard beat them up a little bit too. So 26.5 to me is just really low for their big tight end here, considering we've struggled so much.
All right. You know what? I don't think you're going to struggle. Carr, 2nd in the league to Brady in 20-plus yard completions this season. 67. Brady has 75. Stafford, 65. That seems hard to believe. But there you go. All right, Harry, what's your prop?
Yeah, Joe Burrow, longest pass over 37.5 yards at -115. Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Uzomah, even Joe Mixon all have catches this season from Burrow of 52 yards or better. Burrow's last 3 games, his longest pass was 72, 68, 56. bombs away, like I said, for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, over 37.5 as long as
Nice.
pass.
I think I'm rooting for the Raiders more than the Cowboys now, just because Harry's. We have to temper his excitement here. We should
The
mention
jungle's back, baby.
Harry, try to keep your favorite teams down to like 17.5, I think, every year. I think if you could do that, that's a win. All right, first touchdown scored. Now, like I said, we're letting you become a part of this at extrapoints.com/arcade. We have all the games, and you get to pick the first touchdown, and whoever accumulates the most, how do I say this, odds-wise, wins. So it's not if you go 3 out of 6 games, it's, if you go 1 out of 6, but get the big number, bigger than anybody, you're going to win. You know what I'm saying. Extrapoints.com/arcade. Play along with us. Here's how it works. We're great at it. All right. We're up. I think we stopped keeping track, Brother Brian, but
it's over
100.
It's over 100. It's like 100. It could even be a little bit over 105. I forget if it's 100.
Is that what it is?
It could be 108. It could be 108. I have to look back.
It's getting stupid now. I'm going Hunter Renfrow, 11-1 odds. First player to score in this Raiders Bengals game. This guy does so much damage, but everything. Great possession receiver. Beats you deep down in the red zone. He runs a short zigzag route to get open. You see what he did last week when he did that? You saw that, Brian. Then the defender has his hands on his head. It's like, oh, what did I do? It seems so easy. He's making fools of these guys.
Great at that move.
Scored in 4 of his last 5 games. Gets the ball a lot. 14 targets last 2 weeks. Carr trusts him all over the field. Hunter Renfrow, 11-1. First touchdown. Brian, what do you like?
Yeah, and I like that. So, I mean, because Renfro's becoming a little bit like Cooper Kupp, right? Like even on like a 3 or 4 yard pass, it's hard for these D-backs to guard him. But I'm actually gonna go with the big one here. I'm gonna go with Foster Moreau first touchdown at 27-1. So now even with Waller back, Moreau is still, he's still gonna see the ball a few times. He's made a couple big plays for them every week, even when Waller's been playing. Even last week against the Chargers, he was still on the field 60% of the time in that game. He scored against the Bengals in their last matchup. And, like I said earlier, and you said too, the Bengals D-backs have been very good against the wide receivers, but they've struggled just as bad as the Raiders against good tight ends. So
right.
I just like the 27-1 here because I feel like Moreau will come up with one big catch. That could be a 30 or 40 yard catch without a touchdown or a touchdown. So I just like those odds at 27-1.
All right, we're in decent shape here, Parlay Kid. If Derek Carr drops back to pass in the red zone, because you have Waller to score first.
Yes, boy. You look back. I think it was week 1 where Waller scored, and I'm not sure if we were doing the first touchdown prop. I'm not sure if he was the first touchdown either, but it's been a while since this man has found the end zone, right? A while. 2 touchdowns on the year. We know he was hurt. Since he's come back from his injury, has not sniffed the end zone. I think the Chargers did a nice job of bottling him up the other day, but I don't know if Cincinnati's capable of doing this. The last time they played Cincy, he had 119 yards. I think there's got to be a way that the Raiders have to have an offensive strategy to make sure that this guy is getting some touches this week. I think they look for him early to get him going. Okay, at least they get him going early where Cincinnati now has to draw a lot of attention to him to stop him. Let's look for him at 11-1. Waller is due. He is due for a touchdown.
Harry, you're going Cincinnati here. Cincinnati receiver. We're all going passing touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tyler Boyd at 10-1, the veteran of this potent Bengals passing game. He's got 5 touchdowns this season, has scored in 3 straight, and in 2 of those games was bombs away from Burrow from 56 yards and 68 yards.
Lots of bombs away in your analysis here. Wow.
And has one first touchdown. Let's do it. Joel, get on it. One first touchdown this season as well. Boyd at 10-1.
But underdogs, though, in the wild card round, I should mention, last 4 years, 10-8. 15-3 against the spread. Turn. I don't know how this happens. Turnover differential is plus 10. 15-3 against the spread, the underdogs, which is why I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. No, I'm taking New England Patriots plus 4 over the Buffalo Bills. 44 is the over-under. You see Belichick wearing that danger zone hoodie? I don't know what he's got. I don't know if the spy cams are going to have pellets in them or something. I don't know what happens, but this is a cold. You talk about throwing the first two out. It was 14-10 that first game when Mac Jones was only allowed to pass 3 times. And then 33-21, the Bills seem to have crushed them the second game in Foxborough. Although they had a chance. J.C. Jackson dropped that late pick. They would have been driving to win the Patriots. I watched a lot of that over again. But this is a cold, what is it supposed to be? 0, 1 degree, 2
Very
degrees.
cold.
I've heard some crazy things. Cold, physical, more than the Patriots. I like a low-scoring game. One that the Pats, I think, could win. They'll keep Allen in check. Damien Harris was great. This is underreported. In the 2 games against Buffalo, 214 yards, 4 touchdowns. Right. I know I'm relying on Mac Jones, maybe too much. Rookie quarterback. This is also, I've been down on him lately, but I think McDaniels puts together a nice plan that works for him. Not 3 passes, but not 40. Underdogs facing division rivals in the last 9 playoff games, 8-1 against the spread. Really like New England here. They're 8-3 against the spread in the last 11 overall and 8-3 in the last 11 in January. I think Belichick has something cooked up. I think I like the under more than New England, but I'm taking 2019 final and the Patriots. Parlay Kid, you with me?
I'm with you here. I got a rooting interest in the Pats, but I kind of like both these teams. So it's hard for me to really hate on any of them. I do think, watching, I kind of, some reason was keeping a close eye on that Bills-Jets game last week. And, you're sitting there going, the Bills just don't, there's so many games where they just don't run away from teams. They kind of score early and they disappear. Their offense goes away. And I think the Patriots, this has been they've played each other twice late in the season and now got to face a third time. And I don't know how many weeks it's been, but it can't be more than like 5 weeks apart that they've played. And they're going to play 3 games within about 5 weeks span, or at least it seems like that.
41 days, Darren. 41 days.
Yeah, 4 is that so? 6
games
weeks
in
span.
41.
Okay,
The
3
game in
games,
41 days.
third game. So right, so that's a rare occurrence in the NFL. Advantage to me to Belichick. He's got something up his what we would say his. Guess he doesn't have something up his sleeves. He doesn't usually wear sleeves, but at the same time, they're going to pound the ball, like you said. I think if it comes to a running game, the Pats have a better running game. Right. So if this is where this game is going to be won, it's going to be won in the trenches. I think the Pats, even though defensively they've been a little softer lately, I just think they're going to pound this run with Harris, Stevenson, etc. I'll take the points here with the Pats. I'm not sure if they win this game, but I'll take the Pats. I'm sorry, you and I have the Bills in the Super Bowl too. So
I know.
I guess
it could be
are we
close.
hedging this a little bit too? I mean,
a tiny bit.
Like a Harry hedge here, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy if the Bills make it to the Super Bowl. That I had it. But
how many AFC teams you guys need?
Same.
I don't know.
Same.
No, I'm all right. No, I'll stick with that. But and I'm not going to pull these stats up like everybody else. Belichick on the road in the playoffs. Belichick as an underdog in the playoffs, because a lot of that the Brady teams, and you could if you look at those trends, like, oh my God, nobody has a chance against them. But this year on the road, 6-2. Their opponents' yards per game 60 less on the road. Passer rating is 21 points less. They obviously beat the Bills in Buffalo. So I don't know. I'm looking for it. And Brother Bry, you're going the other way here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills -4. I mean, the line's a little low. I think maybe it's possible the Pats just may have peaked at the wrong time, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's possible there's maybe just too much pressure on Jones' shoulders in this first start. If they win this game, the Pats, it's going to be, we got to start thinking of potential next Brady here, I think. And this, especially, this really cold game. I know he's played in cold games, but I think this is a big advantage for Allen playing in temperatures of like 0. But, when you think back to the last couple of games, I know they had the Jaguar game, but getting dominated in Indy, although it got close, I mean, to me, that's not a good sign. The last game, I know you spoke about it because I think a bunch of us were on the Pats there, or actually I was on the Pats. You guys you were all on the Bills. But, like you said, the Pats had a chance to win that game, but the Bills pretty much kind of dominated that game. So it's something, since that second half of the Tampa game, it seems like the Bills have found their groove. Singletary's been running the ball well. I just think Allen's going to just make too many plays. in this one for the Pats offense to keep up.
All right. Harry, you feel the same way. Pats under 20.5. Is that what it is? Their team total?
Yeah, at -112. Bills are first in the NFL in points against. The Pats average 15 versus the Bills this season. And you mentioned the weather, the elements of the situation. 8:15 start time in Buffalo. Temperature's supposed to be about 1. Mac Jones, born and raised in Jacksonville, played at Alabama. He's probably never felt temperatures like this before. I'm going under 20.5 for the Pats. I'm going to give the Pats 13.
All right. Let's do the prop real quick. I have 2 to choose from here. And only one of them goes on the graphic. So do I go under 5 total touchdowns at -130? I like that. I think the 7s turn into 3s in the cold, possibly snow. Pats haven't scored 3 touchdowns in a game since the Dallas game, which is, what is that? Is that more than 2 months ago? Oh, maybe 2 months ago. A little less than 2 months ago. Is it 3 months ago? I don't know. No, end of November. I'll do the math later. Or do I go Mac Jones under 31? I think I'm going to go with this. Mac Jones doesn't jive with my pick here, but I'm going to go under 31.5 for his longest pass. He's gone under that number in 5 of the last 8 games, and against Buffalo, 12 and 21. Conservative game plan, not as conservative as the time he threw 3 times, the game. He threw 3 times, but somewhere in there, about 22, 23 pass attempts. I don't think any of them go for 32 or more. Give me that for the under. Harry, what are you going with?
Yeah, I'm going to go Mac Jones prop here too. I'm going to go Jones under 205.5 passing yards at -114. Sal, you mentioned we all know about the 2 for 3 game for 19 yards. The game against Buffalo in Orchard Park, but the game in Foxborough too. He wasn't that great against Buffalo's defense either. Just 43% completion percentage for 145 yards. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde were all over him. It's going to, like we said, this game's going to be windy. It's going to be cold. They're going to have to rely on the running game, which is probably going to have to be the case for them if they really want to win the game. Buffalo first in the league in yards allowed and passing yards allowed. They only allow 163 through the air. Give me under 205.5. Easy.
All right. Parlay Kid. I like this too. If there's based on anything we've seen in the past. He's had a great year, Damian Harris.
Very underrated football season this year. Harry, I love that, what you just said too. I'll probably be jumping on that at some point. Yeah, Harris over 60.5 yards rushing at -114. Why not? This game is going to go to the ground. He's going to get 20 plus carries most likely in this game, unless they just really to go. Stevenson has emerged again as well, but I still think Harris is their bell cow running back right now, and I think they pound him. He's had success against not only the Bills this year, but really down the stretch. He has really emerged here as a number 1 option in the backfield. He is definitely more of the straightforward back in this system, and I think that's the type of back you're going to need in this game. Guy just going straight ahead, north-south. He gets enough carries here, maybe breaks one like he did in the win up in Buffalo, and he easily eclipses the 60.5 yards rushing.
He has to have a good game. Like, I don't know, Belichick in the past, Brady was his guy. He has to have a good game for them to win, right? You couldn't really say that about anyone else. I think Damian Harris has to have a good game for the Patriots to be close here.
That's correct.
Brother Bry, former Cowboy. Beasley.
Cole Beasley over 33.5 just seems low, that number. And Beasley's flown kind of under the radar this season. From a football perspective, but I still feel like when the Bills need to make a critical play, Allen's going to look at Beasley. He's been targeted 7.5 times per game over the last 4. And as you know, Belichick will probably, he's going to look to slow down Diggs. He's going to try to eliminate the big play. Allen will have to check down a bunch, I think, in this game. So I think, when you look back at Beasley, he had 2 big games in the playoffs last season for the Bills. So I think just 33.5 seems a little low to me, and I would take the over.
All right, let's do first touchdown. Now, this could be something we might be waiting a while for the first touchdown. This has happened a little bit. It happened in the, college football championship games, happened in a few for us. I'm going to go Hunter Henry. I'm all over the place in this game. I know I'm going Mac Jones under longest reception, but I'm going to Patriots, but I think they score. I think 12-1 is a nice number here. He had 9 touchdowns this year. Talk about underrated, reliable target, 25 targets, in fact, over the last 4 games. He just missed one last week I think he'll be max guy by the goal line if they get down there. Oh, and again, this could happen late second quarter. It could be a while before we see the first touchdown, but I like Hunter Henry at 12-1. Harry?
Yeah, I'm going to take Josh Allen at 9-1. He had 6 rushing touchdowns this season. 2 weeks ago, he had the first touchdown of the game against Atlanta. I think if Buffalo gets inside the 5 with having to deal with the elements of the weather, the safe bet is for the Bills to call Allen's number on maybe a fake to the running back. He rolls in, rolls out to the side, let him use his legs, let him create. I think it's Josh Allen at 9-1.
Parlay Kid, why not Damian Harris?
Why not, Sal? Plus 750, 4 touchdowns against the Bills so far this year. He's got 8 touchdowns in his last 5 games, 14 in his last 11 played. Been a total touchdown machine. If they're inside the 5, they're going to hammer him once, twice, maybe even 3 times. Who knows? At plus 750, I think you're getting pretty good value for a guy that's really been the most prolific touchdown scorer in the NFL over the last month or so.
All right, Brother Brian, the Bills, I don't want to say their offense thrives with Gabriel Davis in there, but certainly better. It's certainly more in sync.
Yeah, they've definitely been better since he's taken a bigger role. And I'm actually surprised that Harry didn't jump on Gabriel Davis. This is his.
I looked.
This is his guy. Also, Darren was big a few times with Knox during the season too. So I was surprised we didn't get that one. He's also another good one at 12-1. But Gabriel Davis 13-1. You know, like you said, over the second half of the season, he's been a big part of this offense. He has 6 touchdowns on the year. He has 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games. So yeah, I did debate Knox or Davis, but I'm going to lean to Davis here and make a few more big plays this week.
All right, Sunday night game. I don't really understand why this is a Sunday night game. Big Ben's. I feel like we've seen Big Ben's last game 7 times in a row now. But Pittsburgh travels to Kansas City and Arrowhead. The Chiefs are a 12.5-point favorite. Although Big Ben, they asked him the other day, he thinks they're a 20-point favorite or underdog rather. So I think he thinks he just needs to stay within 17 to have won in his mind, which is good news for Chiefs backers. And I'm one of them. 46 is the over under. I'm going to make this simple. I'm taking KC minus 6.5 in the first half. And it's not even -7. First of all, if this was 5 years ago, Kansas City is a 2 seed. They're not playing this week, and Pittsburgh's not even in the playoffs. So this is, I don't know how much they're looking past the Steelers. It seems like that's what some teams do, and that's why the Steelers are in this situation. But the play here is the Chiefs first half -6.5. Let me read you the Steelers offense in the last, 7 games. Last week, 3 in the first half against the Ravens. They had a whopping 10 against the Browns 2 weeks ago. And then before that, 0, 3, 0, 3, 3, 3. They're not a first half team. They're not a second half team. They're not any team. I don't know how they're here, but I'm taking the Chiefs in the first half. If you like them for the game, that's great too. 1-4-2 the Steelers are in the last 7 playoff road games, 1-7 in the last 8 after an ATS wins. Casey 6-2 in the last 8 overall. I say 34-11 Chiefs, but man, it's easy. It's going to be like 17-3 in the first half. Brother Bry, what do you think? You're thinking along the same lines as me, right?
Well, there's a couple of things. I like the Chiefs minus 12.5, and I'll go with that. But I also do there's a couple of things. The first half, I know the first half Steelers under 7.5. I love also the under 23 for the first half. But I'll stick with the minus 12.5. But, to me, there's always the one playoff game we look at, right, where we want to bet against the QB. It's funny that the QB we really want to bet against is a veteran QB. Usually it's a young guy or just a backup quarterback or something like that. But to me, the Steelers would have to run the ball so well in this game, or they'd have to, get a couple of turnovers here and limit, not turn over the ball themselves. The Steelers team, like we just said, has been just awful in the first half. So there's no indication that's going to change. And the Chiefs are going to put up points. We all saw this a few weeks ago in that blowout. And I just think it's going to be almost impossible with what we've seen from the Steelers that they're going to be able to keep pace. Now, could there be a backdoor cover? I guess potentially. And that's why your first half bet's probably the better way to go here. but I still like the Chiefs minus 12.5.
Yeah, could it be 27-10 and then Big Ben throws when the Chiefs don't care and it's 27-17? I guess so, but Parlay Kid, I think you're in the right way here. You have the Chiefs also laying the big wood.
I don't see it any other way, Sal. I don't think this is a game to mess around with and try to get cute with. I think you just got to go with the team that proved a few weeks ago when they played the Steelers and the beating they took on them. I don't know if put on them. I'm not sure if it's going to be much different. I don't think you or Brother Bry feel like it's going to be much different either. Is this for the Steelers? I know with Ben, it gives you the kind of the thing where it's like some teams might just be happy to be there. Like a team like the Steelers, you might get the impression that they're just happy to be there. A lot of teams would. Hey, we made the playoffs. We weren't expected to at some point. We made it. Now they, and they're kind of playing it off that way by saying certain things like, and really saying all the pressure's on the Chiefs here. I don't think the Chiefs mind the pressure. I think the Chiefs like the pressure. I think the Chiefs sometimes don't play well when there's no pressure. And I do think they'll revel in this, and they'll just this is going to be a one-sided game, Sal. I don't see it any other way.
You said Harry. You said we shouldn't play games. We shouldn't get cute, and Harry is getting cute and playing games. He's taking the Steelers plus the points.
I am. There's always listen, we've been around the block too many times with these games. Look, the blowout, Kansas City was up 30-0 on Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. Everyone knows this. They won by 26. There's always one playoff game that goes the other way, which we after the fact will be like, wow, what just happened? I think this might be the game. I just think that 12.5 is a ton of points to give. And I know whether Pittsburgh struggles to score and they look bad a lot of times, but 12.5 in a playoff game, no way I'm laying that. This is the most points Big Ben's ever got in a Steelers uniform. 12.5. I think he's 7-3 historically against the Chiefs. And remember, about 5-6 years ago, that game in the playoffs when no one gave Pittsburgh a chance, they won in Arrowhead on 6 field goals when Kansas City scored 2 touchdowns. I'm just saying here. All right, it seems way too easy here.
I'm just saying.
To take
Patrick
Kansas
Mahomes
City
was in college, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, he was, but he, you know what? Taking the Steelers plus 12.5, letting it roll.
It's interesting to me because I don't see how this could get out of hand. I mean, you took Cincinnati because they crushed Las Vegas earlier in the year, but you're not going to consider that that Chiefs beat up on them.
That Denver game last week was Kansas City didn't look good. They were fortunate to win. It looked like Hill really did have an injury with the heel. He really looked like it was bothering him. Kelsey at the end got banged up and came out. I'm just saying here. Pittsburgh 12.5
you're just
playoff
saying.
game.
I mean,
you're getting a lot of just saying.
I know he's just saying. I get it.
A lot of bombs away and a lot of just saying. But
I just don't know
12.5 in a playoff game. Give me the 12.5.
Before you get so excited about it, there have been. Hold on, let me get you. This is a Martin Weiss stat, so I'm not sure, but I did look it up. Only 4 teams have been double-digit favorites in this round, and they all covered. So yeah, and I'm just saying also. That's
Kansas City. Kansas City 23. Pittsburgh 20.
All right. Well, that'd be something. If they held them to 23, God bless. But who knows? I mean, the Steelers are such a stupid team. It could be a strip sack on Mahomes early, and he has to sit the game. And then we have to see another week of the Steelers. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, props. I'm going Kelsey to score a touchdown, minus 145, 3 straight with a TD. He has 4 in 3 games. I don't have to say much about Kelsey. When he's on, he's the guy, right? Scored in 5 of the last 7 playoff games, 4 touchdowns in the last 2 divisional games. Mahomes obviously comfortable throwing to him. Kelsey touchdown, easy peasy, minus 145. Brother Brian, what do you like as a prop?
Yeah, I'm going to go Tyreek Hill under 70.5 yards. So, maybe, Hill will break out of his slump here. But it definitely seems like teams have figured out a way to limit his big play potential right throughout the year. I mean, I granted he hasn't played full games, maybe the last, he's been in and out of the games, especially last week, but he only has 61 yards total in the last 3 games. And like Harry was saying before, his heel may be more of an issue this week than we really know about. So, we've seen it before where Hill has taken himself off the field for a couple of plays. Yep. I could see that in this game too, especially if he's a little bit banged up, and 70.5 might just be a little bit too much for him. So I'd go under.
All right. Parlay Kid, what do you like?
Sal, I'm going with Mahomes over 2.5. Touchdown passes. You know I love this prop. It's not been good to me this year. It is not. I finally hit with Russell Wilson over 1.5 on Sunday at plus 106. I like Mahomes over 2.5 at plus 154. I don't think that line has changed. I was trying to give it a quick look to see if it's changed or not, but it's somewhere in the plus 150 area for us. Mahomes threw 3 against the Steelers just a short time ago when he, probably could have thrown for more if he wanted to. The weather is going to be, for this time of the year, pretty nice, calm winds there as well. Ideal for Mahomes. I would regret passing this one up. Mahomes has been very consistent in his last 4 or 5 games, throwing for 2, 3, or 2 in all these games. He'll be right in the mix for this, Sal. Right in. And I would regret not, because when he gets 3 and it's the first half still, or early third, I would be, regretting it. So let's jump on it now. Got a good number with it. Plus 2.5.
It used to be so easy, right? When he was right around 50 touchdowns a year. Now he has 37 this year. Yeah,
there was a time, and I think his over-under was 39.5 this year, Sal.
Is that what it was only? Wow.
I think it was 39.5 was his over-under touchdown passes this year.
Interesting. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right, Harry, it's your turn. You're going Steelers here.
Yeah, I'm anytime touchdown. I'm going to take Najee Harris at plus 105. 10 touchdowns.
Anytime doesn't include next year, right? He's got to do it in this game.
All right. 7 touchdowns rushing, 3 receiving this season. And if Pittsburgh gets inside the red zone, he really has to be their first option. Can't suffer a red zone pick from Big Ben. Najee Harris plus 105. Anytime TD.
All right. First half pick from Big Ben is exactly what I am banking on here. And my first touchdown pick, Kansas City's defense / special teams, 18-1. He's just so bad. He's so bad. And he's even worse in the first half. I don't know. He's going to drop back. He's going to throw that ball. He's going to have it cocked and go forward. Oh, is it a fumble? Is it a, all right. Oh, the Melvin Ingram celebrating the end zone. We saw the 2 Melvins combine against the Broncos last year. They have 4 defensive touchdowns this year. 1 last week, like I said, against the Broncos. They needed it to win, obviously. Ben just starts off slow. I think 18-1 is crazy when he's such a liability out there, and especially in the first half. That's what I'm doing. Kansas City defense scores first, or the special teams 18-1. Maybe they run back a punt, 3 and out from Pittsburgh. Parlay Kid, you like Pringle first touchdown?
Yeah, I'm going to take Pringle at 12-1 here. This looking at these odds are pretty tough in this game because even for defensively, Sal, we've seen the defense be close to 40-1. The fact that it's 18-1, and then you have the couple running backs for the Chiefs, Edwards-Helaire and Williams, 6-1. Gore is 9-1. These odds just don't make so much sense this week, and we've talked about this before. But Pringle at 12-1, 5 touchdowns on the year. He's been much more visible as of late. He's had 20 targets over the last 3 games. Maybe that's due to Hill being a little banged up, but Pringle has factored in more. I think at 12-1, I'll take the value there.
All right, there you go. Brother Bry, first touchdown. This is one of our favorites.
Yeah, the quarterback touchdown. So I'm going to go with Mahomes. He actually went from 19-1 to 21-1. I think now that we're in the playoffs, it's funny. Mahomes was even scrambling a lot last week against the Broncos. I think he's, once you get into the playoffs, I think he does pretty much anything he needs to do to win. And that's kind of why he got a little bit hurt last year. But he's going to make some plays with his feet. In the 8 playoff games so far in his career, he has 4 rushing touchdowns. That, to me, that's pretty good for someone at 21-1.
Yeah, I think, and especially with Edwards-Helaire, it's tough with him. Darrell Williams, they're like kind of questionable. They're half practicing, they're not practicing, so you don't know. Mahomes might be a good pick right there. All right, is that all for it? We did it all, right? Parlay Kid, you gave us Pringle. Oh, Harry didn't. That's correct. Go ahead, Harry.
Boy, and I'm taking a Chief here, too, and you still don't want it.
Of course you are.
All right, listen, I'm going to take DeMarcus Robinson at 13-1. Obviously, it's too easy to take Hill or Kelsey. I don't know. He had 3 touchdowns this season, but all 3 for 24 yards or more. He had the first touchdown 2 games ago against Cincinnati. So Mahomes maybe looks his way. Robinson at 13-1.